Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and always a phenomenal day when one of your close friends and colleagues is in the studio, and that is today. That is Steve Breen, cartoonist, illustrator for inewsource.org. Steve is the two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist. Steve and I got a chance to work together when he was at the San Diego Union Tribune, and we highlighted his bride the week before, talking about her organization, Stay Social. And by the way, Kathy did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think you can meet her as good as he. Anyway, no.
A high bar.
It's a high bar. Joining me is my co-host now. We think it's 15 months. Could be 17
11
months.
years. Yeah.
11 years, whatever.
Yep.
Kristen Fogel, she is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., celebrated their 20th anniversary last year, and always a pleasure to have her sitting right next to me. How you doing, Kristen?
Pleasure's all mine. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing just great, especially with this guy in over here.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what you've been doing since you left the UT.
Well, I was at the UT for a while, and that's how we met.
We did.
Right? And
How many years were you there?
23.
God, I can't believe it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a while. And I remember meeting you when I got there.
Right, exactly. Disappointing, but I grew on you like
You did. You lived up to the legend.
What happened, Drew?
That's in my eyes.
Yeah.
Well, and again, for our audience that doesn't know, I was fortunate enough to be the head of community and public relations and the spokesperson for 11 years. We were just talking about that. So
yeah,
we got to work with Steve and some of the superstars in our newsroom to promote their work in the community. That was one of our jobs. And Carol Bravago was the PR manager that worked with me. And we're going to talk about that one story. I know it's a UT story, but we're going to get the one in from the beaches and all that. We have to talk about the oil spill.
Oh, right, yeah.
In there. But about inewsource.
So I am now with inewsource, and I started there in fall of 2023. I took the buyout at the UT in the summer of 2023. And inewsource, for listeners who don't know, is an investigative newsroom here in San Diego. It's been around for 15 years, and they focus on stories that affect the region. Everything from sewage to homelessness to parking meter rates. And I do my editorial cartooning, and I also do illustrations, and I do illustrated storytelling, which we could kind of get into right now,
100%.
Today.
So are your cartoons, do they follow what the stories that are covered in inewsource?
Yeah, I would say, and that's kind of how they want it,
right.
Understandably, because we're pretty local.
Right.
But that's not to say that a Trump cartoon won't slip in there now and then, or something.
If it affects something that's local.
Yeah.
Kristen's a consumer of reading because obviously the job she's in, and she's a playwright, actress, singer, all that stuff in between besides running San Diego Writers, Inc. Have you followed anything on inewsource at all?
It's interesting that you said 15 years because I've heard a lot more about inewsource, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But yeah, and it feels like in the last few years I've heard a lot about you guys.
We're ramping things up.
Yeah.
We're getting the word out there more. We've had a partnership with KPBS.
Mm-hmm. Not anymore?
No. We still do, but I'm saying that you may have heard of us, through there. The people who work there are really talented. The journalists are top notch. They just do very good, thorough, thoughtful work, and I'm it's a pleasure to work there with them.
Yeah, some of our former colleagues, Lori Hearn, who we worked with together.
Lori started it,
Started it, right. And, Karn is involved. She's on the board, right? Karn Winter?
She was. I'm not sure her board status right now, but yeah, Karn is a big supporter of inewsource and me. She's just been great.
Yeah.
But Lori, I started it 15 years ago, and you really have to marvel at the grit it took to start a newsroom, to start a news site, to start any business and keep it going after 15 years. But in the news world, it's really tough.
Yeah, exactly. What have you liked most about this? Obviously, it keeps you in the world of editorial cartooning and so forth. Yeah. Anything surprised you at all, or not really?
Well, I love it because I'm a news junkie, right? And I love San Diego in our region here. So you combine those two things, and I'm just going to have opinions, and I'm going to have interest in producing content to go along with the news stories. Well, one thing was seeing how talented these reporters were at inewsource. I love seeing that. I'm amazed at how much I like this new form of storytelling that we're doing with my illustrations, where we combine data and reporting and my artwork, and we tell stories with it.
And it's all online, correct?
Yeah. We're all online.
Right.
There's no print product.
Right.
So about a month ago, we published something called Fentanyl: A Decade of Death. It's got a heavy title, but it is a look at the fentanyl crisis in San Diego and beyond using pictures. Right? So there's been no shortage of stuff written about fentanyl.
Right.
So what we've done is we've gone out and talked to people in the community, the DEA here, the sheriff's department, doctors, victims' families, and we've taken all that and put it into a package online, which you could go to inewsource.org and check it out. And I think it's a pretty good feel of why fentanyl is so bad and why it's been so bad over the past 10 years in America.
So when you say illustration, are they drawings that you're doing? Is it photographs? Is it a combination of both? Is it
good question? Yeah. It's illustration.
Okay.
So it's my drawings.
Right. Is it based on the photos you've seen? Is that what they're, or is it just
some?
Or based on the interviews, or based on the data?
Yeah, some, all the above. Like, for instance, this is the most difficult part of this project was talking to the families who have lost these loved ones.
Right.
Fentanyl is one of these. It doesn't discriminate. It is affecting homeless people. It's affecting wealthy people. It's affecting young people. It's affecting old people. Prince. I know you love Prince, Bruce. Prince died of fentanyl. I think Tom Petty did too.
Yeah.
And we lost a former Padre last year to fentanyl. So it's really touching all kinds of lives. But anyway, it was very painful talking to these families. And then I would get photos from the families, and I worked off the photos to draw the victims.
Right.
These young people.
We're chatting with Steve Breen. Steve is a cartoonist and illustrator for inewsource.org. Name is familiar. 2-time Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist. Won one at the San Diego Union Tribune and one when he was back east. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 19th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, doing great things for people in San Diego County. Honored to have as my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. Kristen.
So how long does a project like this take you?
Good question. I started right when I got there in fall of 2023, and it really took all year last year.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Part of it was because I did a lot of the work. My colleagues helped me out, but I would go and talk to people, and I would come home and go over my notes and then make drawings based on the notes, Some of the things are also visualizations, like, for instance, to show the difference between fentanyl and a painkiller that your doctor would prescribe to you. I drew the doctor that your pain, that your doctor, the drawing related to what your doctor would prescribe to you was like a guy with a capuchin monkey on his back. Fentanyl was a gorilla on someone's back. It was standing on the guy. So just to kind of give you a perspective of the strength of fentanyl, right? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that.
No, it's one of our frequent guests, as you know, and Kristen's met him a variety of times, is Deacon Jim Vargas.
Yes.
And you know Jim. Jim, when you and I were working for the Union Tribune, he was the head of HR for the corporation for Copley Press.
Sure.
But he's a frequent guest, comes in quite a bit. And my business partner and the founder and CEO of Cloudcast Media, Charles Prize, longtime board member at Father Joe's. Oh. And so he knows Jim really well and knew Father Joe Carroll. One of the comments that Jim always talks about with fentanyl is, and they sit there and believe that they want to treat the people that has it. Okay, what's Narcan? What's the name of the medication that if you're on fentanyl, it'll get you out of it?
Yeah, Narcan will reduce the effects of a fentanyl overdose.
Right,
yeah.
And Jim and Kristen might remember this, Jim's comment is, and it's hard to argue this. Listen, we know these guys are suffering, but I can't help anybody if they're dead. And doesn't try to be snippy about it, but we want rather treat them, really get them off the substance, help them while they're, whatever the addiction is, fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, whatever, alcohol. We can't help them if they're not around, seriously, to do it. Right. And we know it's absolutely a tragic in this area. But I do want to, when we come back from break, I want to talk more about what you're doing and what you got, plans as you do more stuff with inewsource and all that. Are you still doing stuff for, what is Marconish? What is it?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, as well. And then anything we can do that's going to support inewsource, let us know. And we have a very benevolent group of folks at Listen to Our Spotlight show. So we definitely want to support that. You know how I feel about news, obviously, having been in the field for a million years. When we return with Steve Breen, cartoonist, illustrator of inewsource.org. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. For more than 60 years, doing great things in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity, it's illiteracy, whether it's visual performing arts, they are there with a shoulder-to-shoulder, joined by Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. So, Steve, we were just chatting about, one of the things I got to share with, and it's just iconic what you did on the British petroleum oil spill. What year was that?
I think 2010.
2010. And as anyone who was around remembers that, it was the worst oil spill in the history of humankind, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there's been one since, has there, like to that level?
I don't think so.
Right. I mean, it made the Valdez and up an Exxon, look like a little drop of oil.
Yeah.
Beyond that. But, Steve, in his typical creative, innovative way, went, and you tell the story. You flew to the oil-soaked beaches and did what?
Yeah. Well, I was working at the Union Tribune at the time, and we kept seeing images of the broken pipe on the seafloor, right, spewing oil.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I should go there and try to get some of that oil. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I just booked a ticket. I didn't even ask my editor. I just said, I'm going away for a couple of days. And I went to New Orleans, drove to the Florida Panhandle, put on some rubber gloves, scooped up some oil off the beach. And there was all kinds.
I do remember this story. Go on.
Yeah. And there was all kinds of like hazmat type guys, I guess from British Petroleum, cleaning up the beaches. But it was so sad because it's so beautiful there. The sand is so white. It's like sugar. But there were these mats of oil that had kind of congealed on the shore. So I just scooped up a couple of those, put them in Tupperware, and mailed them home to California. And I got back and I melted them down. When I got back to California, I melted them down with, of all things, gasoline. I just added a little bit of gasoline. I tried alcohol and a couple other things, but nothing would kind of liquefy it. But gasoline liquefied it. And then I used it to paint a series of cartoons on the actual spill and the carelessness of BP.
It's so interesting and so creative.
Thanks.
So this genius literally draws an editorial cartoon about the oil spill using oil from the oil spill. Unbelievable. So, when we found out about this, he's so shy and sheepish, which is, like if you ask his wife, he goes, he's not talking about Steve, my husband, are you? And so, we got right on it. Carol Ravago did a great job, called 10 News, ABC. They came in and did a 4-minute special on Steve Breen, and there were the cartoons he used. And every time Steve, he was so gracious, we'd have a lot of tours, Kristen, at the UT, senior groups, could be school groups, whatever. And I'd always call Steve at the last minute. Heaven forbid I actually gave him more than 5 minutes notice, right? And he'd come in and he'd bring in he had the sand that he picked up from the oil spill. And it was great. But it's that type of creativity.
Well, thanks. It's nice to have editors who support you with this stuff. I didn't tell anybody, but when I came back, I showed them what I did, and they said, "Oh, we got to get this in the paper." And they gave me a whole page, a lot of real estate in the UT to put that in.
Well, they should have. So let's talk about now. You got a master's in digital design or something like that, or you're doing it right now?
I'm currently in a master's program at USC. Digital media management.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a marketing degree. It's a modern marketing degree.
Do you go up there or you do it all online?
Sometimes I go up there. My son actually is a sophomore there, so I'll visit my son. But it's mostly an online program.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And what do you plan on doing with that?
Something as well. I'm in digital media now at inewsource.
It's going to help you with inewsource.
Right. Yeah. So it's just knowing audiences, knowing data. It's going to help you in any area you go into,
Yeah, absolutely. Kristen?
No, I was just going to say that was my minor in college, and because I wanted to go into casting and film and stuff like that. And it's like, I was like, wow, I didn't know there was like a full-blown program. So
it's newish. It's
cool.
newish. Yeah, and so it's cool. And yeah, you I'm sure you use a lot of the skills, right?
Ish, but it was fun, and for what I was trying to do at the time, it was really applicable. So
everything,
yeah. And I mean, it's education. I'm just excited by anybody going back to school to do anything.
It's really great. I love it, and I would probably love going back to work on an anthropology degree because you reach a certain age and it's not a chore anymore. It's like fun to learn, right?
Right. No, I think that's terrific. Where else are you getting your cartoons appearing?
I do once a week. I do a cartoon for Michael Smerconish, who is a CNN contributor and has a Smerconish.com. Yeah.
That's good. And that is just ongoing. You've been doing it for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I've been doing that for about a year and a half. Right. He's a great guy. He's kind of like me, kind of a moderate,
Right.
But before we wrap, I have to put a plug in for a inewsource Zoom event called Dig This.
Okay.
It's a series we do called Dig This. And on February 27th, next week, I'm going to be talking about the Fentanyl Project that I just mentioned
Cool.
with my editor, Jamie Self.
Okay.
So she and I will be on Zoom. It's 6 o'clock, February 27th. So go to our website, inewsource.org,
Okay.
and keep inewsource in mind for if anyone out there who is at all interested in what's going on.
Well, you and I were just chatting about this, Steve, before we started the show. As being, journalist, I was a journalist before I went to the dark side of the business. Before I went to marketing, I was a sports writer, as you know. You stayed on the news side and all that. More on the opinion side, obviously. That's what editorial cartoonists do. But you were just commenting on even your kids, and does anyone even care about news? It's one thing where they're not going to read print. We get that, okay? But are they reading anything about news?
I know. I was recently at a local school. I won't mention the school.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good school.
Steve
college.
Steve Breen Elementary?
Yeah, no. This is a university.
Okay, gotcha.
And we asked who read the news. Who reads the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and of course, no one raised their hand. That was expected. But then we said, who reads the campus newspaper here? And no one read the campus newspaper. Oh my gosh! And then if you drill down and ask, okay, so
where are you getting your news?
Do you go to CNN.com? Do you go to LATimes.com? Do you go to the Union Tribune? Do you go to iNewsSource? Yeah, no one goes to any of those news sites.
Yeah,
but maybe they'll go to TikTok and Instagram for news. But it's not like they're going there to seek out news.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're getting fed news now and then.
Yeah.
On those sites.
So the follow-up question is, I'm sure you asked them that. Then why, obviously by that choice, you don't see news that important, right?
I know. And think about how scary that is for democracy when people don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But what's their answer when you ask that question?
What, you don't think news is important if you ask them that?
Yeah, right. So, that's the first question I would ask. And say, well, do you know what's going on? I mean, a lot of things we used to talk about all the time when we do tours and all that, especially with the young folks. Yeah. What's the most interesting thing you want? What's the most important thing for you when you become an adult or you go into your next thing? Money. Uh-huh. I get it. When people say money doesn't mean anything, that's the ones who have $4 billion when they say that, right? Yeah. It does, put you a roof over your head and all that. Not to talk about what's going on in San Diego County. So, okay, well, what are you doing to ensure that you're going to do you read the news? Do you think about what the jobs are out there? Do you care about what the new trends are? It's amazing.
A lot about money in the news right now, so maybe you want to pay attention. So.
And think about, if there are any young listeners, think about the edge you have on competitors.
True.
Right.
If you're looking for a job and you read the Wall Street Journal for a week or a couple weeks before you go into, you'll be able to talk authoritatively about things that are going on that none of your
good point.
Right. Age group would be able to talk about.
So a couple things. What can our listeners do to support inewsource.org?
Well, we are
it, obviously.
So go and visit our site, inewsource.org, and if anyone has it in their hearts to contribute, we are a nonprofit, so we live and die by donations. So that's always great, and there's ways to do that on our site. You will see.
Right, that sounds great. And then, are you still available? You are always magnanimous to come and speak to groups, whether it's school groups or whether it's nonprofit groups or organizations or whatever. Are you still available to do that?
Always happy to do that. So just reach out to me, Steve.
How do they get a hold of you?
Okay, so Steve Breen. Mm-hmm. At inewsource.org. Okay. One word, Steve Breen, STEVEBREEN.
Right, exactly. So, we've talked about your beautiful bride who was on last week, and I know we're going to have you come back on with Kathy and your son and talk about Stay Social and all that. Do you do any of your work that focuses on that organization? And that's for kids that are on the spectrum, right?
Yes. My wife, she started an events business called Stay Social for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I haven't featured Stay Social in what I do, but Kathy has included me in events. I've gone and helped her run events, and it's always a pleasure.
Well, there's so much in the news about, not necessarily the Steve Breen family, but what are we doing with the folks that are on the spectrum, right? And talking about people, I mean, you can't help it unless you live in Space Station Mir, and you probably get news on that as well. It's part of the fabric of what we're ignoring or whatever the case may be.
Oh, there's so much potential out there that's just going to waste. So many young people, 20s, 30s, and 40s, they just sit on the couch because there's an infrastructure up until they turn 18, right? And with education, and there's funding and stuff. But once they turn 18, there's nothing really for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
So that's where we wanted to step in, just to kind of, it's not vocational, it's just getting them out there, getting them connected to each other.
Well, we're going to look forward to that conversation with you and Kathy and your son, Thomas, as well. Shout out inewsource website one more time. inewsource.org. Very good. Steve Breen, it's always good to have you. Thank you for the content. For our listeners, February 27, we want to look at this. It's a Zoom. Go to inewsource.org called Dig This. He's going to talk about his fentanyl series. Promise you'll come back on again?
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll look forward to it. Kristen Fogel, as always, thank you for being in the co-pilot seat.
Thanks for having me.
Always. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 19th year. Brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things to people living in San Diego County. We hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.